All right, hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to Play It Paint Alive. We are doing a little stream, but I'll explain what's going on in a minute because we were supposed to paint Red Hood, and as you can see, he's mostly done. So we're actually going to do something a little bit different tonight, um, and we are going to stream a video kind of for future viewing. Okay, so you can chime in live if you like. But we're going to add this on to the next part of our Batman miniature game 3rd edition series of videos on how to play. And so I will get back to painting um, some Red Hood Rebirth here. And actually, if you stay on to this video, we'll actually go step ahead in our tutorial. But really, you only want to, if you're just viewing this kind of to figure out step 1 of how to get into the Batman miniatures game, go ahead and tune in. So for this part, I am going to need to access my phone. Right, so we're going to spend a little bit of time on my phone. Okay, just make sure that we're going to go ahead and share that, and we look pretty good. And let's go ahead and add that to our video here. Okay, so screen capture, and we are going to, I think it's this one. Yeah, it must be this one. Hey, what's up, Nelson? All right, so today we're going to talk about really the first thing I think you need to do if you're going to get into the Batman miniatures game 3rd edition, and that is we're going to need you to get the app. Okay, so we are using an Android phone here. So if you're using an Android phone or an iPhone, this is literally the first thing you should do because it's super important. Search for the Batman miniature game. Okay, and this is the app that you want. And so go ahead and download that. Okay, and the reason why is because all of the updated stats, all of the updated model stats, and how to go shopping, how to know what miniatures are useful and which ones aren't, are you can tell all of that by getting the app. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open the app. So you're going to download the app, install it obviously, and then when you open it, the first time you open it, it's going to tell you, oh, your cards haven't been updated. Will you go ahead and update? So it's going to update. So that might be the first thing that happens. One thing to note here, you notice the game function does not work yet. This app is still in beta, and you can see the little coming soon thing on the bottom. And so this is not quite the gold standard of gaming apps. I would say Malifaux 3rd edition is probably the best miniature gaming app ever written to date. Okay, then there's been some good ones, right? Guild Ball has had some very good apps. There's an app, obviously, for this game. There was an app for Relic Knights at one time. And I'm getting some strange, I get notifications. So you guys are just going to be able to see my phone throughout this this tutorial. Okay, but anyways, this app though is very good, and like I said, for character stats, this is your quote unquote Bible. Okay, so you may have character cards with some of the 3rd edition models. You may have character cards. Okay, I'm letting you know, and this one's in Espanol, but these cards at some point or other may get errated. Your characters may get errated. I still like having physical cards because even say they do get errated, the main thing that I use the physical cards for is for tracking damage. So you're going to want to do that. on your card. And most of these stats generally stay the same, but just be aware. I'm going to point out something interesting here that you can see. This is 12 movement on Red Hood Rebirth. Okay, and I'm going to show you what the app, how the app has recently addressed that. Sean's talking to me on there. So, anyways, let's go ahead and get into how this app works. So, first thing you might want to do is let's go ahead and just use the app through here. So, if you click on cards, okay, this is where you can actually start to plan your purchasing, start to plan your shopping, okay, because this is where you're going to decide on your crew, and you can see the different crews you have here: Batman, Birds of Prey, Joker, Cobra Cult, League of Assassins, Mr. Freeze, Organized Crime, Penguin, Riddler, Bane, or Soldiers of Fortune, we'll say. Then you have Court of Owls, Two-Face, and then Unknown. This is where a lot of your free agents are going to be. And then past Unknown, this is where we get into teams. And I'll have to explain teams a little bit in the course of this video, but teams work a little bit different than your standard crews. You have the Bat Family, Doom Patrol, Suicide Squad. This is the Green Arrow team. I think they're just called Arrow. Teen Titans, Batman Who Laughs, and Big Bang Theory, and finally Watchmen. Okay, so that should give you some idea of the current crews and teams available in the game. Of course, my cat wants to get out because, hey, the minute I hit record, he just decides, hey, I don't want to be a part of your lecture. I don't like listening to you talk about your nerd crap. So that's him doing that. All right. So in this example here, we're going to go ahead and let's build a standard crew just so you can see. So let's say I was interested in let's do Court of Owls. How's it going, Chris? So, and you can look at what models are available for Court of Owls. Okay, so here's one rule of thumb for Batman the Batman miniature game. If it's in metal, there's a pretty good chance that it's not usable. If it's in metal and went to resin, there's a decent chance it's still usable. And if it gets sold in a 3rd edition box, then obviously it is usable. Here's something you can do, though, to ensure that you are looking at current and usable models. So if you go to settings on your app, there's this switch here for Eternal. Okay, Eternal is basically stuff that was in 2nd edition, possibly 1st edition, but never really made it to full legal status in 3rd edition. So you can turn this on, and if you find some older models, then you might be able to use them in casual games. But you'll encounter some difficulties because sometimes the rules aren't quite updated for 3rd, and so some of the rule translations may not make sense. So I turn it on sometimes when I'm just looking at models, but most of the time you're going to want that off if you are planning on playing this in public or without hiccup at all. You should really be looking at non-eternal status models, okay? Anyways, so you could browse the cards for your characters. Let's just look at some cards here. So this is the Batman crew, right? And if I were to turn Eternals on, in fact, let me do that real quick. If I were to go in here, if I turn Eternal on, and let's go back to, and you can see, this just popped up. Amazon's of the Misra just showed up, right? So you can tell they don't have what we would call a full update for 3rd edition. You can play them in 3rd edition, but you're not going to be able. They're not tournament legal, and I think they're basically just not legal anymore. So you would just be playing these with your friends if you had the models or whatever. I wonder if there's another, if there's like, of course there's not Secret 6 or anything like that. It's too bad. No, that's really I didn't see Gorilla Grodd or anything like that added. So it's really just the Amazons and that whole, oh no, Gorilla Grodd's right there. So yeah, if you wanted to, you could play with just your friends. Like I said though, it's gonna be a little awkward because the rules may not have been fully updated to third, and you're gonna have to run the generic deck. And when we get into decks in a later part, you'll see why that can be kind of an issue. Now, if you're just playing this for fun with your friends and you don't care and whatever, you may not ever win a game, go for it, man. If you like Gorilla Grodd and you just buy some Gorilla Grodd and you play with your buddies and you run a generic deck, no one's really going to care. This is more about if you are going to play in a tournament and you want to play something clean. And honestly, in my opinion, if you want to experience the full game the way it's intended for third edition, I would not run anything eternal. All right, so let's turn this back off because that's just not as cool. Okay, so that's where you can browse for cards. But really, the first thing you should do after you get this app, you look at your cards, you know what crew or team you may want to run. You might as well just experiment and build yourself a crew. Let's build a crew. You can see it's stored a bunch of crews that I built. These are based on models that I own. And I like to stick Mang on the end of everything. That's why you have that. But let's go ahead and build a crew from scratch, right? So I'm going to hit the plus here. And I can choose my affiliation here. Let's build, I always wanted to see what a Talia run league looks like because it sounds cool. His old Mr. Freeze as well. That's a lot of stuff. Yeah. Thanks, Yag. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to build my my generic crew here. This may be something I buy in the future. Who knows? I might run league. Probably not. I don't know. We're going to call this sure, why not? And typical crew sizes for the full game are going to be 350 rep and 1500 funding. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that. Okay, so now you have the list. Now you have a whole list of models that you can build, and it's pretty straightforward. It's actually a pretty nice way to build crews. And like I said, I'm going to pick a leader. So I'm going to pick one of these leaders here. I really like Talia. I wish Comic Talia was not eternal because I love that model. Best model ever. But let's go ahead and click. We'll add Talia, and you can see I have the option here to add her as a leader or a sidekick. Now, there isn't much of a functional difference other than you have to have a leader. You can run, so for example, in this case, I'm going to run her as the leader. So we'll put her in there. You can see it's already adjusted my rep here at the top. And then the number of models, it's just added a model there. And then if she costs any funding, the funding would adjust as well. In this case, she actually adds additional funding. So she added $350 to my funding, which is cool. Okay, so then we'll add Lady Shiva. Okay, so I have a leader and a sidekick, even though both are both technically sidekicks. Now, you usually have a spot for a free agent. Okay, and this is probably, as a fan of the comics, your free agent, you can get greedy with free agents, and this is where teams come into play. If you like to run a lot of free agents, you want to run a lot of characters, you may be better off running a team as opposed to a standard crew. But there are certain free agents like Electrocutioner who have this rule, charismatic, that allow you to take additional free agents. So typically you can only take one free agent. But, if you're going to add Harley Quinn, these are the two that come to mind. Harley Quinn and Electrocutioner, they allow you to take additional free agents, okay? So for example, I'm just for fun, I'm going to add Harley Quinn there. And you can see the free agents have not, um, I still have access to free agents. Let me show you, for example, I'm going to remove Harley Quinn here. Okay. And let's go back and let's add a different free agent, right? Let's add Will Smith. Woo! Add Will Smith, Will Shot. Woo! I just like to say that. Okay, so if you add Will Shot, you can see the only free agent that shows up here is Electrocutioner because he has charismatic, right? He is the Jello of Batman. You can always add Electrocutioner basically almost to any affiliation outside of Batman, I believe. So you can add him, but you can see all the free agents are now gone, and it's just a bunch of henchmen that I'm looking at here, right? I'm sorry, I don't really like Will Shot. Let's just remove him. So let's go back to what I was doing. I want to add Harley Quinn because why not? Even though she's not the best for League, but you can add your free agents are cool because they really kind of add the flavor to your crew. Everybody kind of knows what League wants to do. They want to run around, stab people. They want to hide suspect markers. They want lots of suspect markers. We'll get into playstyles a little bit later, but let's just theoretically, I love modern age Catwoman. It's a great additional free agent. And then my main man Tetch. He's always awesome. I mean, and Cheshire actually is quite good in a League of Assassins. So let's go ahead and add Cheshire. Okay. Now, if you notice, I got now you can see how it's been adding to this, and now it's got suddenly a lot more. My choices have been much more limited now. So now I'm just looking at these three guys. Might as well take the assault rifle, and there I'm at 350 rep. This is your available objective cards. We'll build the deck too for fun here. One thing to note about the app. If I do not save if I don't save this right now, this whole thing goes away. And if I save it right now, let's save it right now, it'll kick me out. So I'm going to go back out. It's just a bug with the app. It's just what it does. So let's go back into it. Go back into my sure why not. Now, this will get, so if you really wanted to buy this, it's only 5 models, which is kind of bad. Ideally, hey, what's up, Sean? Ideally, we think, this is just my opinion, just take it for what it is. I think in general, your crews should really be between 6 to 8 models. That's where I like to be. 7 really kind of being the sweet spot. And we'll get into a little bit more into that as to why I think that a little bit later when we get a little bit more into the crew building aspect. All right. So you can see I made it to the 350 rep. That's not going to happen all the time, just the way the points balance in this game. But you want to get to, obviously, try to get as close to that as possible. I spent 400 funding here because Prisoner 4211 here cost 400 out of the gate because of his little rifle, his little carbine. So now I want to start adding equipment to this team. Okay, so what you can do now is you can go add equipment. And then this is what I love about the app, because you have this, oh, what does this do? Right? And there you go. It will just tell you, you just click on it, and it'll tell you what this is. Okay? This crew can't recruit models with weapons with firearm or beam rules. Well, it's too late. I already got a guy with a firearm. Instead, this crew affiliate henchmen can buy the bow and katana equipments. Now, katanas are great. Bows kind of suck in 3rd edition, but so I'm not going to take that. I'm just going to take the Lazarus Pit here for a little regeneration. And let's see what else. She can't take anything. Sometimes the sidekicks are free agents. They won't allow them to take things. She can't take anything. Let's see if Cheshire can't take anything. But henchmen, generally henchmen, you can buy stuff. So I have 1,100 funding. Let's just see how many upgrades can we just add to this one poor dude? Um, right, so we want to give him, let's give him a magazine. That would be nice. So we just spent 600 on him. We still have 550 left. This dude is just going to be the most decked out dude. You know, why not? Unarmed combat. This guy's just going to be amazing. Just doing this for fun, guys. Like, don't, obviously, I don't recommend doing, I don't recommend adding this many upgrades to one henchman. I'm just trying to show you that you spend, you know, you, you can spend the rest of your funding if you want. Sure, gas mask, why not? No, he can have the drugs. Look at that. All right. So there. I spent all the funding, I spent all of the rep. That's my theoretical crew that I want to buy. Based on the boxes, this is probably $100 worth of buying that I need to get different sets just to get these characters together. Be aware of that too when you're building theoretically. When you look at the bundles online at the Night Model site, it might be better. You may want to just build off of or initially what is in the box, and that's kind of what I recommend. And then you can go back to your crew and start to think about what sort of free agent you really want to run. This is just a total theoretical team that I'm building right now. So let's go back into there real quick. So you have the crew, you have the upgrades. Now the last thing you need to do is you want to build your objective deck, okay? And that's what this number is up here, the 0 out of 20, okay? So standard objective deck, you have to have 20 cards in it, and exactly 20 cards, not counting cards that are specific to characters. So let me show you what that means, okay? So let's look at a standard character card, right? So this tells you how many copies of that card exist in the deck. Here's the VP. Here's when it scores. We'll get into this in kind of a different video, but let's just start building our deck. So I'm just gonna, for right now, I'm just gonna add cards that are specific to League of Assassins. All right, and the reason why, how I know they're specific to League of Assassins is you'll see this little symbol for your crew right there. This section, what I'm talking about here, does not apply to teams, and I'm going to show you a specific example for the team that I'm working on, the actual team that I'm working on right now. All right, so, but just to show you, okay, we're taking a bunch of League. We're just actually just going to take all the League cards. Am I not allowed to take that? I mean, there we go. Okay, so you can see I'm at 20 cards. Okay, so 20 out of 20, but they're still allowing me to take 4 cards. And what these cards are is these are specific to characters that I've hired into that crew. So you can take these in addition to the 20 cards that you're going to run for that crew. Okay, so for example, this is Harley Quinn specific card. So let's go ahead and take that. This is Talia's specific card. This is Lady Shiva's specific card. And you can see Cheshire has 3 cards. So it's pretty rare, but certain characters actually do have multiple copies of their individual specific card. Cheshire has 3, for example, and Riddler, he has 2 for his, right? So it's kind of a cool, in theory, it's a good idea to take to take all the cards, because what it does is it increases your victory point cap, because like I said, you have 20 cards to start with, but hey, I'm going to add, if I add all 3 of these cards, I'm going to increase my total scoring potential by 6, because I'll get 3 cards worth 2 each. So in theory, it sounds good. And it's a good idea to add their cards, but not always. Sometimes you can have cards in there that clog your deck. I'll actually show you an example of that, but for now, let's go ahead and let's add the Cheshire card. So I think I actually have a total of 26 cards in this deck, right? And we'll get into kind of how to build your deck a little bit later. But suffice it to say, I want to show you one other thing here. So if I get rid of Cheshire's card, her cards, for example, and I go back, you can see the only card available to me is Cheshire's card. But if I go and remove a non-character specific card, let's get rid of this, do not deviate from the plan. Okay, and then I go back here, you can see there's a whole bunch of cards available to me all of a sudden. And that's because that was a crew specific card, not a character specific card. So you can see my my total here on objective cards went down to 17 out of 20. And so I can add 3 more cards. And what are all these cards down here? These are generic cards. Okay, and when this is going to be super important when we get into the deck building aspect, because my opinion on it is when you're learning a crew, you start with, you probably just play the first game or so just with the entire deck specific to that faction. Then you start to figure out, oh, okay, based on how I'm playing and based on how how the game works for me, some of these cards are going to be easy for me to score. Some of them are just going to be impossible for me to score based on the way I built my crew, based on the way that I play the game, that sort of thing. And in that case, it may be a good idea to dump some of the faction-specific cards and swap them out for generic cards, because there are some generic cards which are just actually quite good, not just as objectives, but they're very useful, right? One of my favorites being valuable commodities, which is one of my favorite all-time generic cards. So, but please note, you cannot swap in a generic card for a character-specific card. So, anyways, so that's basically us building our fake crew in the app, and that's how you run your app. Is you build your crew. This will give you a good idea of how to do your shopping, right? Now you know what models are current. Now you know which ones you want for your crew. Now you know how that crew is going to look, and you have sort of built their deck, and that should give you a good idea of how your crew is going to play and what you need to do with your crew. All right, so really buying the app, or not buying the app, but downloading the app, installing it, is the most important step to getting into Batman. This is probably the first thing you need to do. I know you want to go out and buy the cool mini. You just, I love Red Hood, I'm just gonna buy him. Now it's not wrong. I mean, if you love Red Hood and you love characters associated with Red Hood, then you stand a reasonable chance that they fit in a crew together. But if you're planning on playing the game, like, just don't. I would still do the app first and set it up and play it the way you want. By the way, this crew probably terrible on the board, in my opinion, because you have a guy with like $1,000 in in funding. He's the only guy that could take funding, and you only have 5 models. So yeah, don't do that. Anyways, and so let's switch gears a little bit. And actually, let's yeah, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's remove my sure why not team. Oh, so sad. Bye, guys. Um, but for example, I was running Titans today, right? So this is the team I was running. Actually, did not have him in today. I had Hawk in, right? So I had Hawk in today, and I didn't think he was doing too great based on um, just today's playing. And then I noticed there was some issues with my deck too. So what I did a little earlier, I was just kind of doing a little shopping. Let's remove Hawk, and I go back here, and I'm like, hey, I got this model. I just got to paint him. Let's add him. And I've got Raven too, but she can't use all her rules yet. So I could run Raven, but I'm going to add this guy because he's awesome. So let's go ahead and add that guy. And look what happens. You see how it makes his character card available. So I can add his character card to my objective deck as well, right? And I still have a little bit of funding here. I can do something cool with him. Actually, it looks like I need... Oh, I got 2 pairs of handcuffs. I am going to want to do Moment of Glory. I typically like to have it on either Beast Boy or Starfire, but actually kind of good on Beast Boy. Having a 44-inch move would be kind of... I just think it's kind of good. So let's buy Moment of Glory for... See, you may use the Moment of Glory, and you gain Living Legend until the end of the round. Living Legend basically gives you 2 activations, which is pretty amazing. So let's go ahead and take that there. Let's click save. Let's go back into it. Okay, so let me back up a sec, and I think it's still all right. And I'll show you exactly what I was struggling with. So when you take a team, you get access to the generic deck, but you also get access to some specific team cards. So for example, Get Them Off the Streets. This is a Batman affiliated card, but it's available to Teen Titans to take as well, right? And the way I read the decks, the generic deck has so many 1-scoring cards. You really are shooting to try to get to the 3 VP cards. And this one's a really nice one, right? Because you just want to arrest a model. It's a diamond scorer in phase 3. And then the 2 resource, cancel an objective card used as a resource. Yeah, after Chris did that to me plenty of times with his freeze crew, that's really upsetting. And so it's nice to have a few of these floating in my own deck as well to cancel somebody else's resources, right? So I want to add that. But as I was playing my games today, I was having trouble. Let me see. It was that card right there. Okay. So one thing I got and again, this is all personal stuff, but I was playing today and I had this Unveiling the Truth card in my deck. And the reason why I initially took it is because it's a phase 2 scoring, but scores on a diamond, meaning you can score it in the middle of phase 3. You don't have to wait until the end of the turn. You can play it in phase 2, which means it gets out of your hand nice and quick. So in theory, it sounds really good. The resources is okay. It actually just gives you a reposition of a friendly suspect marker because you're going to pull one away. You're going to get a free manipulate. You can put that. You can move that marker to where you want. So, right, nothing wrong with this card. It's actually a pretty decent card. It scores on a 2 and you get 3 of them, right? The issue I was having is that I was I was getting multiple copies of this card, and I actually never ended up scoring it because my opponent, um, Jason, was doing the ritual, right? And so some games you just don't score it, right? Especially the other guy just keeps pumping suspect markers. It's not going to happen. But, is there something I can do to kind of experiment with this? So, um, so let's go ahead and chuck it for now, right? And let's shop for a better card based on how I want to play, right? So, um, so come through everything is actually one of my favorite cards. We'll come back to that in a minute. Well, actually, let's look at it right now. So come through everything. You can see it does not change my scoring cap, right? It's still 2 VP and I get 3 copies of it. Batman affiliated scores on a 3 diamond, which is super nice. You can just score it immediately. Reveal an enemy suspect. When you score this objective, you may draw an additional objective card, then you must discard one of them. That's super hot fire right there, right? Because this is such an important thing in the game to be able um, to cycle your deck, right? And this just gives you a nice little extra draw and discard. So nice, and it's stupidly easy to score. You just reveal an enemy suspect. You don't have. It's not like Disturbance where you have to have more after you reveal an enemy suspect. You just reveal it. Like Batman, silly, easy card to score. It's also a 1 resource. Can you sidebar in game for the decks? Um, Now, in a typical game, you can build your deck right before you play. In tournaments, I think you're kind of locked, but I don't know. I don't think they really held us to that at LVO. I don't think they held us to specific objectives. I stayed with the same objectives all through LVO. That's a great question. I actually don't have I think it depends on the tournament, frankly. I would think like the more organized tournaments would want you to keep the same deck game after game. Um, but I don't know. I don't know that for sure. So anyways, um, so as a resource, it's a 1 resource. That's nice. When the opponent reveals one of your suspects, you may place 1 suspect for free in contact with a friendly model. The chosen model cannot be the closest one to the enemy that revealed it. So it's got some use to it. It's got some reactive use there, and it's only a 1 cost resource. So that's a pretty good card. That's a pretty good card. Let's see what else we got here. Let's go. So Unveiling the Truth we looked at. It's okay, but the issue I was having was certain opponents are just going to be able to keep winning that the suspect war because they're going to have more models than Teen Titans, and Teen Titans only has like access to 1 henchman, so you're not going to get a lot of free Inspire manipulates out of Teen Titans. Non-lethal ammo is not bad. It's a 2/2, which would give me space for like a solo card, which is kind of nice. Scores on a 3 diamonds, so that's also nice. Inflict damage with a range attack, but change all the blood to stun. Okay, now that range attack has to at least inflict 1 blood damage, so your batlings are out of this. But Teen Titans they do have access to quite a few beams between Raven, Dove, and Starfire. So this is not a bad card to take from that. As a resource, it's a cost 0, and I'm a big fan of cost 0 resource cards because if I can have an excuse to get it out of my hand, I'll use that excuse. Here's the issue. If a friendly model with the cop trait is attacked while within 4 inches of another friendly model with the cop trait, the target gains cover. There are no cops in Teen Titans. So this is not objective. This is not a resource that you can play. So these cards, if you're not scoring them, are going to be very hard to get out of your hand. Now, probably Knight was probably thinking to change that terminology for the Teen Titans specific card. Probably going to say if a free agent if a free agent is attacked while 4 inches of another free agent, then the attack gains cover. Probably, but I'm not gonna. As of today, that's not what's going on there. So right now, this card is not a usable resource for me. All right. So here we go. So Chris thinks it was one. Yeah, see, I played it that way because I also felt you were supposed to keep a set objective, um, deck. Okay, so non-lethal ammo is okay, but you could see as of today, the way it's written, it's not, uh, uh, you know, that it's not usable. Okay, let's look at free for all. So we're just shopping for cards. I don't know. I mean, I was gonna we do a little painting here, but we're just gonna shop for cards. Okay, so 2/2 on free for all. It's a phase 3. Now, you might think that a phase 3 hourglass, meaning it scores at the end of the round, that's not necessarily good. But what I like about a phase 3 hourglass is that you can play it as a face-up objective in the middle of the turn or at any point during the turn, and it gets it out of your hand. So I actually like these as opposed to only having phase 3 diamonds. So it's kind of nice. Have more friendly models than enemy models not suffering KO within 4 inches of the center of the gaming area. Kind of cool in theory, but you know, Teen Titans are certain crew, like you don't want to get in the middle of the board with Bane Unleashed. Okay, he's just gonna beat the crap out of all your dudes. And note, this is a Bane card. Okay, he does that card super well. So, anyways, not the worst card, but it's okay. As a 2 resource, you got to be careful with these, so it's going to be harder to get out of your hand as a 2 resource. Till the end of the round, friendly models may use a dose without spending it. And this kind of means that you go in with this card, and what you would do if you really wanted this card and you wanted to make it useful in Titans is you would go with that card, and you would go with, where is it? And you would go with the overdrive card just to give you venom doses. So you can get a venom dose by playing this one as a resource, and then that card would cost you 2 resource, but you could spend it with and keep your venom dose for later rounds. Not the worst thing in the world. It really not. That's not a bad thought to go with those cards and this one. Let's keep shopping. Okay, and then you have catch a bullet, don't take it. Like, I'm sorry. I know make an enemy model suffer KO or remove this. Yeah, it's easy, but to take up one of your 20 slots for a 1 VP card, kind of a bad time. Okay, that's the problem with playing the straight generic deck. Is you got a bunch of cards like this that frankly are it's just too hindering to not be able to score what you should score. So, anyways. So, no, we're not doing that. Disturbance is not bad. This is not bad. If you are just going to play like hardcore, you know, backpack style, let's remove enemy suspects when we can, you can score this on a 3 diamond. One of my favorite things is this is a great card for Riddler. This is a great card for Riddler because Riddler tends to dominate the suspect race anyway. And, you know, he's got, I think I have access to like 3 or 4 models that can remove suspect markers without even blinking. So you can score this pretty easily on Riddler. But my favorite thing about Riddler is this part, using it as a resource, right, to shut sewer markers down. Because everybody want to get in Riddler's face and punch him in the face as quickly as possible, right? So a 0 cost resource to KO or to shut down sewer markers is pretty hot fire on Riddler. It's not bad on Titans, but I think we can do better, right? What the main card I would compare this to for Teen Titans within um, within the context of Teen Titans is really the first card we looked at, Comb Through Everything, right? Same thing. It's a 2 VP 3 space card. Um, and it's also reveal an enemy suspect, but this one is easier to score because you don't need to have more suspects than the opponent, and it comes when you score it, you get that free 1 card cycle. That's super hot fire. Not quite as good and awesome uh, as a resource, but I think within Titans, I think this is a better card than Disturbance because, like I said, Titans don't benefit from a lot of Inspire, so they're going to have a harder time winning the suspect race against certain crews. Okay, so my judgment at this time is that I am going to want to take that versus anything else here. Okay, and you know I love valuable commodities. I want to show you this one last card actually um, before we solidify it here. So here's Let Them In on the Joke. You see it's a Joker card. It's a 2/3 availability, and it's a Diamond 3 score. Friendly model with the Trickster's trait places a suspect within 4 of an enemy model. Both players discard an objective card at random. Um, it's currently, though, again, it's a stopgap. You know, like Chris is saying, it does not work currently because with Teen Titans because they don't have a Trickster. The closest thing they have to a Trickster are people who hang around Hawk because they get the rough equivalent of the Trickster ability, but even then they never gain the trait. So that's why Knight they need to fix the wording on these cards. I would think again probably free agent. This one and the other and non-lethal ammo. They're going to make them work for Teen Titans. You got to change the wording there because there's no Tricksters. Even then, let's say it did say free agent. This is probably not a great card for Teen Titans at anyway because discarding an objective card, both players discarding an objective card at random kind of sucks. And as a resource, you want to increase the value of a number counter. It's decent against like that's a nice that's nice for like against freeze or against those guys that have like if they're playing snitch against you. It's a great way to counter snitch, but it just it just doesn't um it's not good enough for me to take the spot. Everyone has access to this. I don't think so. I don't think Doom Patrol has access to this. We can check. Anyways, so for me, it's going to be Comb Through Everything, right? So I'm just going to add that to my deck, and I'm going to save this. Let's see if Doom Patrol has access to that. Let's chuck Disturbance for a second here, since it's a 3-value card. Oh no, yeah, it is on there. Never mind. Maybe it's a bug. Everybody has access to that, but 0 teams can use it. It's just not a lot of Trickster running around. Yeah, Nelson, how come Team Titans can use this card? It has the haha symbol. Yeah, but Nelson, this is what they fixed with teams like a week ago. Is they adjusted the team's card availability so that teams can pick from different affiliations, right? So for like I said, so that's why my Teen Titan deck has a bunch of generics in it, but it also has right. It also has like Batman specific cards. It also has right League. It's got Penguin. So that's how teams work now. Is they have They have teams now have access to very specific cards outside of affiliation, right? So that's how teams work. In the meantime, they are supposed to be getting their own specific deck, but in the meantime, you can do stuff like this. Yeah, you're right. Joker Crews have Trickster in spades. So that's why it's perfect for them. But right now, that card is useless in teams. Just isn't a team that can benefit from that card as written. So, anyways, so just to show you how important it is to get the app, is this is really the meat of your homework. And what I like about this is, compared to other games, is you're not sat there reading a codex all day, right? You're not looking at point values and making spreadsheets. You just do it in the app. But I really like the deck build function as well, though, because this is where, like, if you're at work, wait, you shouldn't do this while you're at work. Don't waste work. But if you're at not work and you have time to kill, and you want to go through and look at your deck and go, okay, what's working, what's not working, how do I want to build out my deck? This is how you should do it, right? Uh, and like I said, when you go when you're building your main crew, you'll often start with their you'll often start with the pure deck for that crew. And you can see, like, I've added in this Riddler crew, I've added Disturbance for the reasons like I said. It's nice. It's just a super nice card for Riddler. It does reduce my overall scoring, but it scores so much faster and so much easier, and it's so nice as an objective. Like, you weigh all of that when you're looking at this. I also added I'm Feeling Weird. This is just a nice way to remove conditions. You're playing against Freeze, you're playing against Cobra, League. Even League likes to put a lot of poison down. Batman Who Laughs does a lot of poison and enervating, right? It's a good way to get rid of conditions. And then you can score I'm Feeling Weird. You can score that pretty much at will. All you really have to do is either knock down or KO one guy, and you can just score that card. And then here is this is still like the best card, in my opinion, in the entire game. Right? I think almost every Batman crew should be running this card. And if you're Penguin, you should put this on your sideboard and have it in your deck, because why not? It's that good. Okay? So this is a 3 value card. You only get one. You get the loot marker when you're playing it as an objective. You interact with one of your own objectives to pull loot off of it. And then you run around with the loot. If you still have it at the end of the game, you score 3 points, right? You can't play it past turn 3. Ideally, you want to play it on turn 3. But here's what makes the card so damn good is, as a resource, yeah, it's a 2-cost resource, but you get to draw 3 cards. And the LVO was pointed out to me that this is actually a full mulligan, because when you play this as a resource, you refill this card immediately, and then you draw 3 cards. So you're drawing 4 cards when you play this as a resource. And that's crazy good, right? That's a full flush, basically. You don't like what's in your hand, things slow you down. This card is super important, but it only shows up in my hand turn 4. Screw you, card, and screw my luck. But yeah, it's still amazingly good card. Should always be in a deck that you're pretty much, right? It's just a good idea to have this. And if you're only replacing 2 cards, I really like the combo of I'm Feeling Weird and Valuable Commodities, because that way that helps you with some condition removal, and and like I said, it gives you a full hand flush. So as you start to tailor your deck for better take on all comer style play, those are the first 2 cards you want in there. So you maybe get rid of a 2-copy card that's just not doing you well out of your faction deck, right? And then the rest of this is all, if you look here, the rest of this is all faction deck. And then I've got some of the other like character specific cards. Let me show you a card that is a pain in the ass that I've had to get rid of for Riddler, and that is the Echo card. Okay, this card sucks. This card will stay in your hand. Like if you right, it's a 3 VP card. So you're like, man, oh, why would you get rid of a 3 VP card? That's awesome. Like, right? And it's a 3 diamond card. You should be able to score that. But let's read what you have to do. An enemy model reveals one of your suspects that is within 2 inches of an enemy suspect. Okay? And I've scored this card before. Don't get me wrong. I've scored this card before. But that can be a very difficult situation to control because your opponent, you're playing Riddler, and your opponent is terrified of removing your suspects. So they're going to do everything possible to make sure this doesn't happen. Because, look, you're going to score 3 VP. The opponent's going to be like, oh, I remove your suspect. And you're a good Riddler player. You should be scoring on that a lot when they're removing your suspects. They should hate removing your suspects. So that makes this card very hard to score. And then as an objective, as a resource, it's a 1 resource. Friendly model with the alias Query gains 2 free efforts for the current action if she's within 6 inches of Echo. Now, just the thing on Echo and Query, they're a great team, but the way I run Echo is I often have her kind of using grapple gun and like moving much further up the board than Query. Query's got an LMG. She's going to want to stay fairly close to deployment. She's going to be looking for firing lanes, that sort of thing. So even as a resource, this card is hard to play. And yeah, I'm giving up 3 victory points towards my total scoring capability, but this card has just choked up my hand more often than I care to admit. And so I got rid of the card. This is just where your experience comes into play. And you're just like, okay, this card, yeah, it's cool if it scores, but, I've already kind of drove everybody in the local meta nuts with Riddler anyway. They don't want to remove suspects, so this card is not likely to score like it did once upon a time. So I got rid of that card. So yes, it's an option, and it's just going to stay as an option, but it's not worth taking. It's not going to happen, right? This one, much easier to control. So you can score the Query card, and this card is fantastic, right? Enemy model reveals an enemy suspect within 2 inches of a friendly suspect. Super stupidly easy to score, okay, with Riddler. And who cares about it as a resource? Because you could score this pretty much the second it gets in your hand. So, not a big deal. Anyway, I just thought I would share, some of the deck stuff for you guys to have a look at. So, yeah, any questions, comments, threats? How we doing? I'm going to remove this. And we'll look at some Red Hood. Actually, what am I doing? Let's look at Red Hood's card real quick. Because let's look at Red Hood. Right? Let's look at, and this is kind of what I forgot to mention. Well, I got to blow that up a little. This is what's so cool about the app, right? There's so many keywords in Batman, but the app is so nice because you want to know something, you just click on it. It'll just tell, oh, that's what that does, right? You don't have to remember everything. Oh, look, that's what that does, right? It's so cool. The other thing I wanted to point out, and I showed you this earlier in the stream, was that let me move this. Whoops. Let me move this here for a second. I showed you this earlier in the stream, that his character card has a movement of 12, and he has the acrobat rule, acrobata, in the Espanol card. But you can see the latest update, what they did is he still has acrobat, but they just flat added the extra inch of movement there onto the movement stat. So that's kind of nice. Anyway, so Red Hood, Red Hood Rebirth, you can see just a great model overall. He actually is 80 rep, but it's 70 rep in Titans. So he's great in Teen Titans. Great stats. So 70 rep, man. Look what you're getting. 7-7. Just strong stats across the board. 4+ strength. That's solid, man. That's solid for a not Batman, especially a 70 cost model. Both his weapons have handy. That's amazing, right? Right? Blunt 2 means if you crit, you're going to add, basically, you're going to do 4 unblockable stun damage. That's amazing. Okay. What I really like about him too is he is super good against firearms due to both acrobat and Kevlar vest. And then he has this rule here, which I really love, Searcher. This is amazing. He just gets to reduce the opponent's resources by 1. That's super strong. Like I was saying, like with Riddler, I was complaining about how hard it can be to keep his deck in cycle because you have to just buy stuff to keep it moving. This guy's going to make that even harder. And then his special action, one-shot gun, is pretty gross. It's a 1 use only, but 8 inches line of sight, and you just go straight to a strength die with 3 blood damage and bleed 3. This ability is considered a ranged attack with the anti-tank rule, so all rules, traits, and abilities that relate to are in effect, right? So basically, you just get the 1 die. It's a 2+ to do that, essentially, with a 3 blood, bleed 3. Not bad, right? But let's go to his card, because his card is also quite good. So Seeking Revenge is his card. Oh, every time I go from one view to another, I have to blow this back up. All right. Whew, okay, scores 3 on a diamond. Inflict at least 3 hits with a weapon that inflicts stun damage against the enemy model with the highest reputation cost. So this can be kind of hard to score. So if you get this in your hand too early in the game, it can be kind of a pain. It can kind of sit there. What? Still not anti-parka. Oh yeah. Anyways, so right, so it can be hard to score. This is super nice though, as a two cost resource. During this activation, friendly model with Jason Todd ignores the once per game restriction of the one-shot gun trait. So it's kind of nice. You just get, so if this does end up in your hand a little early, then maybe you just, pop off a shot with your one-shot gun trait just for fun, just to get it out of your hand. I know it costs 2 resource, but man, if this is in your hand at the right time, you can wreck people super hard with this card. So anyway, just thought I would share that before we turn this off. All right. So yeah, so Jason Todd, pretty cool. He's basically done. We're just gonna build up the red again because we want him to have nice coloration. But yeah, Any questions, comments? Hopefully, that was just uh, a little bit helpful in terms of like how to work around the app, and then kind of how I like to think about building an objective deck for my team. The kind of thought process I go through. I mean, he's basically done, but I just want to brighten up the red some, right? So not anti-parka. So does a parka mean you're completely immune to that one-shot shotgun? This is a really cool Red Hood model. I don't understand what those dots are for, but I saw them in the packaging. So I'm remaining faithful to that. I don't know what those do. Were you analyzing your penguin build now? Damn, so this guy's gun cannot go through a parka because the parka automatically removes a die? That's crazy. Does anti-tank do anything? Does anti-tank give you the one die no matter what? I wonder. I mean, we could look that up. Yeah. So yeah, I like building. Let's do a little highlighting on his pantalones. Wow. So parkas are immune to his one-shot shotgun. That's amazing. And given that's his only special action, that's pretty rough. I don't like the red stripe on his pants. It looks like he's wearing San Francisco 49ers, like their football or Tampa Bay Bucks almost too. Does unpredictable trait let you attack twice, manipulation and attack? Yes, it does actually. Unpredictable, I believe, does allow you to take two of the same action. It's one of the only exceptions to that rule in the game where, you can only take one type of that action during an activation. Right? So the only way I know to get two movements or two tactical actions or whatever would be unpredictable or living legend. Living legend only allows you to do it once per game though. But man, you picked the right moment with living legend. Kind of dope. All right. All right. So we're just gonna keep building on Mr. Red Hood here. I just want to blend. So we'll just blend that in. Yeah. Your Red Hood is pretty cool. Anyone want a lunch game tomorrow? I'll have Red Hood ready. I want to try him. I think he's going to be much better than Hawk in my Teen Titan squad. Harley Sidekick with, yeah, GCC gives unpredictable. Yes, unfortunately, she is eternal. So I have those models, and I was like, oh, I could play this for fun. But she is eternal. I was going to do something really awesome with that, too. Her hiring rule is super cool. I was going to hire Echo and Query as henchmen into that Gotham City Sirens crew. Again, super cool, but eternal only. Kind of bummer. All right. So we got some good highlight here on Red Hood. I don't want to go too far into this color. Otherwise, he's going to look like Orange Hood. He's going to look very safe, and we don't want that. I just want him to look bright enough to where you all know that that's Mr. Red Hood on the table. We'll give him a minute to dry, and then we'll seal him up. But yeah, pretty cool. All right. So I think we are good to go. It's almost bedtime, but yeah. Kite Man is pretty awesome. Get this guy. This guy was an afterthought at LVO, but I was like, he could bring him on Titans, so I picked him up. And now I'm realizing, hey, he's pretty damn good on Titans. Just let my airbrush compressor pump down. You had to do Rebirth Harley. I know it. I would like Jason. I was running Sirens at one point, and that was part of like why I picked some of the stuff I did at LVO, because I'm like, well, I have the new Ivy. I might as well get the other two Sirens, the updated versions of them. So that might be a later project for me. I still want to run Birds of Prey without any of the movie models, because I don't like the movie sculpts. I think they're kind of terrible. But I do love the comic sculpts better. All right, so let's seal this bad boy up real quick. What? Oh wait, Ivy Siren is gone with no Eternals. I mean, they don't really have that Siren rule anymore, but I just bought them in the hopes of one day just running Sirens as a Birds of Prey. And I even changed the name of my Birds of Prey, like, entry to Boo, because you can't do the cool siren version of them. All right, let's seal up this bad boy. In fact, we could play around with that list since we're all here. We might as well. You know, I have a bunch of Infinity to build, and I was going to do that tonight. But frankly, I already put you guys through that like a couple of weeks ago. Thanks a lot, Jose. But I didn't think that would be a good use of our time here. All right. Seal him up nice and good. All right. I'll let that. All right. And then we'll play around with the Birds of Prey list, because I've been meaning to. Rebirth Harley has sirens. True, but Rebirth Harley was made in 2nd edition, so I don't know. All right. Yeah, I have all 3 of the sirens in their, we'll call them their most recent forms. I have the Poison Ivy leader, and then I also have this Catwoman, which is, I love this Catwoman, and I also have the, I can't find her, but I do have a Bewitched Harley running around here somewhere. Let's see. Oh, let's turn this back on. Okay. Oops. Oh, did I just, I may have just removed it. Yeah, I just removed it. Let's build one. Okay. Boo! Alright, let's make that. Okay, so I have this Ivy. I have, now here's the problem. This is too many free agents. Does, I have the Bewitched Harley. Wait, does that one count as, yeah, that one counts as a free agent. So I have the Bewitched Harley. Now, unfortunately, I only have room for one more free agent. So if I wanted to run Sirens, I then add this Catwoman, right? And then all it leaves me access to are henchmen, which is sad times because you don't get to do cool like Birds of Prey. I can add Oracle or this version of Black Canary to there, but like I said, I do not like the I do not like the movie sculpts. Right? We'll take. Right. I was hoping there would be some way I could run this Black Canary with that team, but that's not going to happen unless I drop the Catwoman. But you gotta have all 3 of the sirens. So now, also Electrocutioner still available if you wanted to. So you could add Oracle because Oracle's dope. And then really, other than maybe Bruce, it's Bruce and a bunch of plants if you're going to do this. I like Frank. He gets a cool card. And then I only have 26 points left. So I guess I would add Mutated Plant 2? Yeah. I mean, that would be my birds crew. It's only 6 models and 2 of them are plants. That's bad. You can do some funky stuff with them, but I like this is not an impressive team. I don't know. I I guess I should buy Frank the Plant though if I'm gonna run this team. But yeah, that's not great, guys. That's not very good. And what can you do with your funding? I'm gonna add the modified pheromone. That's kind of nice. Can Oracle take anything? No. Catwoman? No. Harley? No. Mutated plant. I could buy $1,100 worth of plant upgrades. That would be horrible. Anyways, not as you can see, I'm not terribly interested in running Birds of Prey because I can't. You can't. I would have to do this. Gosh, there. I would have to buy the stupid, ugly movie things. Wait, where did I can't add? Oh, I've already added Oracle as a sidekick, so I can't even add the Canary. So let's add the dumb movie model. So we'd add that. Oh, and that's it. Montoya. Still bad times, as you can see. It's a very expensive team. Never mind. Back to plants. I would just add there 4 moving models and plants. That's what I would run. Maybe I would, instead of Frank, maybe I just buy all 3 plants. Oh. But now you have 7 model count for plants. Ugh. Hold on. Let's remove these other 2 plants for a sec. Let's add Frank. And then what kind of upgrades can... See, Frank can take a bunch of cool stuff. Right? Swap Bewildered Harley for Rebirth. Okay, let's do that just for... But Bewildered is cool. All right, let's do it. All right, roller skates it is. Let's add roller skates. Same thing, same cost. It just puts me exactly in the same place. Right? Same thing. You could run either way. Right? Might as well run the model that you want to run. So I don't know. Yeah. Maybe some of these plant upgrades make them cool. I don't know. I mean, you can tell what I'm missing immediately is I have really no ranged on this crew at all, except for this little plant. What does spikes do? You gain claws. Who cares? Extra spores. I think that's like magazine. Yeah, so I would do that. I still have 1,000 funding to spend on the 2 plants. So yeah. Anyways, that's no. Rebirth adds a free agent slot, but so does Bewitched, which is why I have Catwoman in there too. That's really the only way you can have the Sirens. Is Harley makes it possible. That's about it. So anyway, I think that is it, folks. That's what we got. Hope you guys enjoyed me putting like 2 colors on this guy. But he's ready. He's ready. We could put him on the board. We already added his card to my deck. We're good to go. Anyone wants a lunch game tomorrow? We can make it happen. But anyways, we're going to call it here. Guys, I got to go to bed. But thanks everyone for watching. Have a good night. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.